So in this video, we're going to graph translations and reflections of functions. So this is really like the next part of another video I already made. So if you're watching this, you should kind of be familiar with like reading these types of equations. So if you're not, check out my previous videos. So I've been kind of slowly building this up because I think this is kind of complicated. And so it's good to like kind of take this in small pieces. And now we're going to put it all together. There's one other thing that I want to note before I jump into the examples. So just regarding the language, so I'm going to use the term like reflected about the x-axis. So this aligns with the particular language that the book that my class is using uses. This is a little bit of an abuse of the term. And really what I mean when I'm saying like reflected about the x-axis is I'm talking about the graph is like usually in this context in this video, that's referring to the idea of the graph is like flipped or turned upside down. You get the idea. So I have taken that language just because of the book that I'm using. I do want to just kind of throw out, it's not technically mathematically precise, but I think for our purposes and what we're doing, it'll be okay. So just a caveat there. So what we're going to do now is we are going to graph x squared plus 1. So the first thing that I would like to do is I would just like to acknowledge like what is happening here. So is this moving up, down, left, right? And if you're playing along at home here, I'd strongly recommend maybe just pausing for a second and writing down what you think is happening, and then we can review it. So this is going to be the graph of x squared, but it's going to move up 1 unit. Okay, now in another video, I talked about the graph of x squared and like some basic points to remember. And what we talked about was that with the graph of x squared normally starts here at 0, 0, and then you go out 1 and up 1 in each direction. Now in this case, instead of starting at 0, 0, I'm going to follow this as a direction. So I know that this graph needs to move up 1. So there's my starting point, now moved up 1. Okay, so once you have that starting point, then the next portion of this relies on like your understanding of the graph. So if this is where I'm starting, then I know to get to the other 2 points, I go out 1 and up 1 in each direction. And then I also talked about in that video that this forms a U shape. It's bada bing, bada boom. There you go. So it's kind of putting everything together now. So let's keep going with this idea. So now I've got the square root of x minus 2. So once again, maybe just pause for a second and write down which way this graph is shifting and then hit play. Okay, so in this case, this is going to shift right 2. So now what I need to do is I need to think about what I know about the graph of the square root of x. And again, I covered this in a previous video. So the square root of x typically starts at 0, 0, and then I just go out 1, up 1, and I have like this tipped over parabola, half of it, you know. So now, instead of this starting at 0, 0, I will move to the right, 2. And then, now that I've moved to the right 2, I can just come up with what's the next point. So that was out 1 and up 1, so it goes up this way. And then we've got this arm, this like curve going out this way, so there you go. Okay, so now let's put all of these ideas together. So let's say that I've got x plus 2 squared minus 1. So again, maybe just pause for a second, write down how is this going to translate up, down, left, right, whatever. Hit play when you got it. So this is going to go left 2 and down 1. Okay, so now go ahead and graph the starting point. I actually think that you probably know now enough to go ahead and graph this because we already worked with x squared once. So I would actually love it if you made an attempt to graph this one on your own. The worst that happens is you get it wrong, but you'll learn more if you try and you don't quite get it, and then we can just kind of adjust your reasoning. Okay, so I'm going to move to the left 2 and down 1. So this is where I start. And then we just talked about, right, with the previous examples. So to make a parabola, you go out 1 in each direction. So out 1 and up 1 in each direction. So out 1 and up 1. And then it's a U shape. And I just think this is like so much easier than messing with the table and like, you know, like, oh, how does it look and all this stuff. Like if you kind of know some basic information and then you know how to kind of crack that code of translations and reflections, it's actually a pretty quick process. So it's kind of cool to, well, you know, cool to me that you can work like this. Okay, so what I would love is for you to try this one totally on your own, just thinking about all the stuff that you know, and then, you know, hit play when you're ready. So this one's going to move right 3 and up 2. So let's see. I will go to the right 3 and up 2. And then, so this is absolute value. So to get to the next points, I'm going to go out 1 and up 1 in each direction. And in this case, this makes a V shape. So I got a V. Boom. All right. So, cool. Now let's do, I've only got 2 more. So this is kind of to get you the general idea of this. So now I have this minus sign here. So write down everything that's happening. Just write down what you think's happening and then hit play. So this is going to be reflected over the x-axis. This is going to go right 3 and down 2. Okay, so now how do we graph in this sense? So I'm going to go to the right 3 and I'm going to go down 2, just like I would have before. Now here's the only other adjustment that we need to make. Now previously with absolute value, I would go out 1 and up 1 in each direction, right? And now, since this is a negative, instead of going out 1 and up 1, instead of going up, I'm just going to go down. So I'm just going to go out 1 and down 1 in each direction. And then that's it. So that's all I have to do to get the reflection part. So it just changes the way that I'm going with the points. And then once again, bada bing, bada boom. Okay, cool. So I have one more example here for you to try. So go ahead and, you know, think about how does this translate and then try to graph it totally on your own and hit play when you are ready. So this one, once again, will be reflected. It's going to move to the left 3 and up 1. So I will start by moving to the left 3 and up 1. Now, you just have to take a moment to think about what normally happens. So normally, I start at that first point and then I just go up 1 to the next point. But now, instead of going up, I'm just going to go down. So I'm still going to go this way, but now I'm, let's see, actually, let me use the green color here. So I'm going to go down this way. Okay, so that is for the reflection, and then I just go whoop that way, right? This is the starting point, and then this was the next point, so I just go that way. Okay, and so that's it with graphing. So I mean, if you think about it, you're actually graphing some pretty complicated graphs pretty quickly. But if you feel like you could use a few more examples, I do have other example videos, so feel free to check those out, make your education work for yourself. And otherwise, if you found this helpful, I would love it if you'd hit that like button or that subscribe button, and I will talk to you guys next time. Peace.